What are the current and future housing needs for Winston-Salem? That's a question that City Council is trying to get an answer to. I'm Derwin L. Montgomery. Leave your questions about this segment in the comment field and we will respond. Mellon Parker, Planning Senior Project Supervisor, joins us with more details. Mellon, when we think about the city of Winston-Salem and our housing needs, it's something that you've been closely engaged in for a long time, but as you know, council has requested, and now we've engaged a firm to work with us around developing a better understanding of what housing needs do we have and helping us to be able to plan for the future. So could you tell us a little bit about what's going on, what's happening, what's the charge, and what can we expect from this group that's working with the city?
Yes, good morning. One of the things that we've been charged to do is start a housing study that will be done by Enterprise Community Partners out of Washington, D.C. Council has asked us to look at what housing exists, what the future housing need, and how we can probably look at planning and making policies available to get those needs met.
Yeah, so for me, you may know, and other staff and my colleagues on council will know that housing and it's something that's very, very high on my priority list and something that I care a whole bunch about because of when we look at certain parts of the community, the quality of housing that's offered and the variety of housing that's offered across the community is not equitable. And with that, the affordability of housing that exists is also a challenge. And in particular, when we think about the comparison towards affordability and the actual quality of housing creates obstacles in our community and market. Questions that have arisen that has helped us come to this point have come out of those conversations around affordable housing. And the question that kept coming up was, well, what is affordable housing in Winston-Salem? What is a rate that it actually equates to what is affordable in our community? And so we've moved to this place now of trying to develop this housing study to get a better understanding of that. Will there be community engagement, conversations in community? What can the community expect as this process is going on?
During this process, Enterprise Community will actually do a kickoff on Thursday, the 28th. It will be held at Union Baptist. The first session, there will be two sessions, a morning session, one from 11:30 to 1, and an evening session from 5:30 to 7. During this time, Enterprise will put together information as far as what housing stock exists and be able to get the community engaged on what is being needed and what the expectation we can provide to the citizens.
And so how long will this process take?
The process has actually, as far as data collecting, has already started with Enterprise. But it will start the 28th, and we will provide a information report to council hopefully in November, and the process will be completed hopefully by December.
Okay, and so if they complete this process by December, they render information back to the city, back to council. How is this information utilized? Is this something that gets put on the shelf? What is done with this data and this information?
Actually, this information will be a gauge to assist us and council in developing programs and policies to meet the needs of the citizens. So it will be an ongoing document that we will continue to pull, look at. It will work in conjunction with the city's consolidated plan, which is a 5-year plan that the Department of Housing and Urban Development requires the city to utilize. So this information and data will work hand in hand.
And so just to give a little more detail for the public about the consolidated plan, that helps guide how we utilize our federal fund, our federal housing funds. And so we have to give to HUD specifics on how we're engaging these dollars in the community. And so that consolidated plan really speaks to that. And then when we think about this plan, this housing study, As you stated, my thought is one that this would very much be a tool that we utilize to help justify how we use our resources, particularly local resources and other resources in this community to help support housing long term. I think we're in an interesting place in our community when it comes to housing development. We've seen a grand amount of new construction happening over the last 5 to 6 years.
Yes.
A lot of it located in our central core of the city and others out in some other parts of our community. But the biggest question and the biggest driver right now, not just in Winston, but nationally, is this increasing tick in cost of living. And we're in a place where we have an opportunity, I think, to actually do something about what's happening in our community. I think this will be a great tool to help
Yes.
impact how we invest our funds, how we invest our dollars, to make sure that this is a community that's open to everybody to truly live, work, and play. And living requires you to be able to have a place to live.
Yes.
And so with your office, with your work that you're doing, are there, if you had to throw out some things that you would hope we'd come to understand better out of this, what would you say?
I would say a better understanding of what the community feels that they need, and we have this open dialogue, and that starts again on Thursday. But until the ending process, if people continue to communicate with us, communicate with enterprise partners, and talk about the needs and where they want their city to move forward in housing, I think that would be a very good process.
And so if people want to know more information about the housing study, more information about events that are taking place associated with it, where do they go? How can they get information? What do they do?
They contact the Department of Community Development, and our office will have all the information that they need. Enterprise is also available to assist them as well, but also CityLink is a very good start if they forget to about community development.
Okay, so there's going to be some opportunities here coming very, very soon for the community to engage with enterprise partners who are coming in to help facilitate this housing study. This process will take place from now, hopefully concluding sometime in December. They'll render something back to council, and it won't be something that goes on a bookshelf, but there will be an actual working tool that we'll have. Thank you, Melon, for joining us and talking a little bit more about the housing study. We appreciate you and your time.
Thank you.
Remember, you can get more information by calling Melon Parker through CityLink at 336-727-8000 or by email at melonp@cityofws.org.